The Eastern Pomo language is otherwise known as Bahtssal. Let's look at some words in Bahtssal. Hayu is dog. Gunula, coyote. Tsiikop, blackberry. Now let's look at the word for the. He. He. Okay. Over here we have hayu he. What we notice is that in Bahtssal, the word for the comes after the word. In this case, the word for dog. So hayu he in English is the dog. Gunula he in English is the coyote. Let's look at some more words. Batin is big, but only for a singular noun. Hayu batin he. In Bahtssal, it is dog, big, the big dog. Now, as we noticed, batin is big only for singular nouns. So here is a difference between Bahtssal and English. In English, you would say the big dog. And in Bahtssal, we have tiya, which means big, for plural. The big dogs. In Bahtssal, there's no plural marking on dog. The plural marking is on the adjective big. So hayu he means the dog, but it can also mean the dogs. Hayu batin he can only mean the big dog, and hayu tiya he can only mean the big dogs. Let's look at another adjective. Pui means fat. Puyaya means fat for plural. Gunula he, the coyote or the coyotes. Gunula pui he can only mean the fat coyote, because pui is fat singular. Gunula puyaya he can only mean the fat coyotes, because puyaya is plural. Let's look at this word, tsikom, sweet. Tsikomaya, sweet for plural. Now we notice that usually adjectives add aya, and that makes them plural. But in some cases, there's a separate word, as in the case of batin tiya. But here, pui, puyaya, tsikom, tsikomaya. Blackberry is tsiikop, tsiikop. Now, to make the sweet blackberry, tsiikop, tsikom he. Here is tsikom, sweet, singular. Now to say the sweet blackberries, tsiikop, tsikomaya he, because tsikomaya is plural. So what we see in Bahtssal is that it's different from English in that everything that modifies the noun follows the noun. In English, everything that modifies the noun comes before the noun. In Bahtssal, you say hayu he, dog the. Hayu ba tin he, dog big the. And hayu tia he, dog big plural the. And in English we say the dog, the big dog, and the big dogs. And in English we make the noun plural. In Bahtssal you make the adjective the plural. So there are some differences between English and Bahtssal. Film on? Right. In today's lesson in Bahtssal, let's look at verbs and some of the endings that go on verbs. In English, as we know, there are endings that go on verbs. For example, teach and teaching. So ing is an ending that would go on teach. Changes the meaning somewhat. Let's look at the verb do ye, which means to teach. Now in Bahtssal, there is an indicative ending, which we write like this: a y in parentheses and an a. This ending means the verbal action is taking place now, at the present, or in the recent past, or will take place in the near future, and that there's no question that this is a real act. It isn't a hypothetical act. So you wouldn't use that for saying he would teach. You use it to say he is teaching or he taught. So there's the indicative ending. There's also a punctual ending, which is a K. That would mean he taught for a very short period of time. Then there's a continual ending, which is L, which would mean teaching for a long period of time. So we have teaching in the present, near future, or recent past, teaching for a short period of time, or teaching for a long period of time. Now these endings can be added to each other. Let's look here. Do ye ya. This is do ye plus ya. Now, if we add the punctual, we get do ye ga, which is do ye plus ka plus ya. Now we have some complications here because this doesn't look like this. Going down to the continual, do ye la, which is do ye plus L, the continual, plus the indicative. So why does this come out looking different? Why does the final result look different than the pieces that make up the word? There are two rules, and the rules have to be performed in order. First rule occurs first, and the second rule occurs second. The first rule is that the indicative is ya after a vowel. Let's look here. Do ye, a vowel. Do ye ya. But it is ah after a consonant. That's why the y is written in parentheses. Ya after a vowel, ah after a consonant. Here's a consonant. So the y disappears, and it's ah. Now the second rule is, for the punctual, it is K before a consonant, but it is G before a vowel. Okay, now you see why these rules have to be performed in order, because if the second rule applied before the first rule, the K would be before a Y, and it would remain a K. In reality, the first rule occurs first. The Y disappears after a consonant. All that's left is a vowel, and then the second rule occurs where it becomes a G before a vowel. This is one of the few rules of this sort in Bahtssal, and it's relatively easy to remember. Let's look at some sentences. Meep, we, do ye ya. Meep is he. We is me. Do ye ya, as we see over here. Teaching. He's teaching me. This is the kind of teaching that you would find maybe that isn't involved in a particularly long period of time. He's teaching me maybe to sharpen obsidian or how to finish some task. And so this could occur in the present, recent past, or near future. Now, let's look at the second sentence. Meep, we, do ye ga. Here's our do ye ga, punctual, plus indicative. This means teaching that occurred in the present, recent past, or will occur in the near future. I've translated here as sort of recent past, but that occurred in a very short period of time. So this would be, he taught me how to do something like sharpen a piece of obsidian that didn't take very long to do. The bottom sentence, meep, we, do ye la. There's the L, that's the punctual, plus the ah indicative after consonant. This translates as he was teaching me. He was teaching me something that took a long time to teach. For example, he was teaching me how to speak Bahtssal. If you were to say, he was teaching me how to speak Bahtssal, you would say, meep, we, do ye la. If you were saying, he taught me how to sharpen obsidian, then it would be meep, we, do ye ga. And if he was just teaching me, that's what he was doing that day, without anything in particular or without specifying whether it was long or short. Meep, we, do ye ya. He's teaching me.
Could both of those last two sentences be translated as, the last sentence, could that be he is teaching me?
It could be he is teaching me as well, or he will be teaching me. The reason I put these in the past is that most of the time in English or Bahtssal, when you're talking about things, it is in the past. So it's sort of a default translation, but it could be he will be teaching me. He'll be teaching me in a couple of hours. If it was he will be teaching me next year, there's another ending.
ahead and talk.
Test, test.
Go-
Okay.
Yeah, you can talk a little louder if you
All
want.
right. Loud. Okay, today let's look at what are known as directional prefixes. Prefixes come before a verb or a noun. So that's this little dash means that this comes first and something else comes second. So these are all prefixes. These prefixes can be put on verbs of motion. For example, the English word go in Bahtssal is uhu if a singular subject is going, or pili if a plural subject is going. So that if I was going, I would use uhu, but if we are going, we would use pili. Now we can put any of these directional prefixes on the verb to go, and that will tell us whether you're going outside, inside, away, towards a human habitation, or towards home, or if your action is close by or far away. Okay, let's look over here. Meep means he. Guruhuya. Okay? Gur, close by. Uhu, go. And remember our indicative ending, ya. Present, recent past, or near future. So meep, guru, guruhuya, he came. So action close by is interpreted as coming. Meet means she. Meep is he. Meet is she. Meet liluhuya. Okay, she, liluhuya. Lil is far away, uhu is go. This is generally interpreted as leaving. Action of going that's far away. Guruhuya, action that's close, is interpreted as coming with this particular verb. Okay, bake is they. Cha means away. Pili is the verb for plural subjects. Bake is plural, meaning they, so we use pili. Bake, cha piliya. They went away. Cha is away, pili is go. Okay, ha means I. Ho. Ho means outside. It's actually comprised of the word ho, which means fire, and w, u, which means at. At the fire has come to mean outside. Ha, ho, huya. I went outside. Wa is we. So we is plural. We'll use pili. Go, plural. Wa gao piliya. Gao. This is also comprised of two words. Ga means house, and again, W means at or in. In the house is inside.
Marvin, can you move your, keeps rubbing on the microphone.
Oh.
What's that?
Okay. A little editing here.
Yeah, I also wanted to ask you a question about Guru Huya. That wouldn't mean he went?
Apparently, it means he came. So that gur, which means action that's close by, is interpreted as going is interpreted as the end product is close by. The end of going is close by. So he
Yeah.
came, whereas lil, which is is glossed as far away, action that's far away. In this case, the end of this action is far away. The end of this action is close. Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, let's see, where did we leave off? We were doing, maybe I'll go up to here and explain the difference between these two just a little bit. Okay. Now we notice that cha means away. And yet here, lil means action that occurred far away. Liluhuya apparently means to leave. Guruhuya, action that is close, is interpreted as coming. So here, what's the difference between using lil and cha, since both seem to mean away? It appears that the verb coming, or the verb to go, if the end of the action of going results in being close by, this is translated into English as came. Now, with the same verb, uhuya, if the end of the action is far away, it's interpreted and translated into English as leaving. Whereas with cha actually means away. So you could be describing people leaving something that's close by or something that's far away. It doesn't matter. What this tells you is that they are leaving wherever they are. So, as with every language, it's very difficult to get a direct, accurate translation. We miss a lot of the subtleties when we come to translate into English. The similar example is here. We have ho, at, fire at. Ho is fire, u is at or in, meaning outside. Okay, and yet here, hol, towards habitation, ho is fire, and el means towards. So, in a sense, we have something quite the opposite. Here, if we're at the fire, we're outside. Here, if we're going towards the fire, we're going towards a building of some sort where people would be in and they would be having a fire. So, for example, now here, ma is you, holuhuya. You went towards a human habitation. These prefixes, even though they're put together from different parts, for example, fire and towards or fire and at, have been used for thousands of years, and their meanings have changed, so they aren't exactly what the pieces would indicate. For instance, outside really doesn't have to have anything to do with being at a fire, or inside or towards a habitation doesn't have to have anything really to do with fire. It's just come to mean that over 1,000 years of use. Okay, let's look at here. Gal, towards home. Gao is inside. Ga means house, and then u is at. But inside doesn't have to mean a house. Gao piliya, they went inside. Or we wa gao piliya, we went inside. Doesn't have to be inside a house. Now, gal, house towards, still retains some of the meaning of house. So this prefix means towards home or home. Bake, they, gal, pili, ya. Bake, gal, pili, ya. They went home. So this is an example of how Bahtssal can give you the idea of what direction an action is leading, or where an action or how an action is occurring by putting prefixes on. Whereas in English, we generally add something after the verb. For example, go away, go outside, go inside. We use two words, and Bahtssal combines a prefix with the verb, ending up with one word. Okay, Bahtssal hello, okay, works. Bahtssal pronouns. Pronouns are I, you, she, he, we, they. Bahtssal has subject pronouns and object pronouns. So in this way, Bahtssal is very similar to English. In English, the subject pronoun I has a corresponding object pronoun me. In Bahtssal, ha is I, we is me. Skipping down to she, in English, she is the subject pronoun, her is the object pronoun. Meet is she, meet all is her. Meep is he, meep-all is him. In English, there's no difference between the subject and the object pronoun you, but there is in Bahtssal. Ma is you as a subject, and me is you as an object. So ma is different from me in the same way that ha is different from we, namely the way I is different from me. Continuing down here, wa is we, wall is us, ma is you all, or you plural. Notice it's different than you singular because you singular has a short a, ma, you plural, ma, and the object form is mal. And bake is they, bagel is them. Let's use the verb gar to see. Gar plus the indicative ending, which we talked about previously, has the a form when it follows a consonant. Therefore, gar plus the indicative ending gives you gara, seeing. Ha, me, gara. I see you. You notice that this is me, object. Ma, we, gara. Ma is you, subject. We is me, gara. See, you see me. Meet, wall, gara. Meet is she. Wall is us, gara. She sees us. Meep, bagel, gara. Meep, he. Bagel, them. Gara, sees. He sees them. Bake, they. Wall, us. Gara. They see us. Bake, wall, gara. Ha, mal, gara. Ha is I. Mal is you all. You plural, object, and gara is see. I see you all. Ma, wall, gara. Ma, you all, subject form. Wall, us, object form, gara. You all see us. Now, Bahtssal is different from English in that the verb is the same in each of these cases. So, I see you, the verb is gara. She sees us, meet, wall, gara. In English, you notice it's she sees. We add an S to the verb see. She sees us. But in Bahtssal, the verb is the same. I see, gara. She sees, gara. You see, gara. They see, gara. It's the same for all the pronouns. So, gurdi, I brought something. But gurbidi is to bring for plural. Bake gurbidi. They brought something. So the verb itself is different. Ha gurdi, I brought. Bake gurbidi, they brought. So for this verb, there's a singular form and a plural form. Let's look here. Shat-o, to burn. Ha shat-o, ya, I burn something. But here, shalot-ma, for plural. See how that's different? Shat-o, singular, shalot-ma, plural. So, bake shalot-ma-ya, they burned something. Here's another verb, gak, to run. For singular, meep gak, or meep gaga, he ran. But gadik, bake gadiga, they ran. So there are these few verbs in the language where the singular is different than the plural, and basically you just need to remember that the singular is different than the plural for certain verbs. However, there are some patterns to make remembering easier. These verbs, for example, you add something. Gurdi, gurbidi, you add the B. The rest is the same. Shat-o, shalot-ma, you add the lo. You also need to add a different ending. Gak, gadik, you add this little element D. There are other verbs where the prefix remains the same, but the actual verb root is different. We're familiar with this. Galuhu. Gal means come home, homewards. Ga means house. And ul means towards the house. Galuhu means go home. Singular. You can say, meet galuhuya, she went home. But galpili is plural. Bake galpiliya, they went home. So we've seen this in a number of examples where uhu is singular and pili is plural. There are other verbs that do this as well. For instance, the verb to fly. Pudil is to fly singular, but pubail is to fly for plural subjects. The bird flies would be here. If you said the blue jay flew, t'ai pudila. But the blue jays flew, t'ai pubela. Again, this is the complication that you get in Bahtssal that you don't have in English, because the verb fly is the same for bird or birds. But in Bahtssal, it's a different word. In this case, the verb root, D, changes to bay, but the prefix can stay the same, as in galuhu, galpili. Here are two more examples. Kidil, to carry on your back, and kibail for plural. You notice that this is the same. Deal becomes bail, deal becomes bail. So that would make remembering these a little easier because they form the same pattern. So She carried something on her back. Meet ki dila. They carried something on their back, plural. Bake ki bela. Here's another verb, mishe, to smell. If I smell something, ha misheya. They smell something, bake mi muga. So there's, for the sake of remembering, there are some verbs where you add something. There are other verbs where the prefix stays the same, but the verb root changes to another verb root. Uhu changes to pili. D changes to bay. And then there are verbs where everything is different. These would be the most difficult to remember. Ga, to sit, for singular. But na po, to sit, for plural. Mip kaya, he sat. Bake na poya, they sat. Mer, to lie down, singular. Pi tam, to lie down, plural. You see, ga and na po are entirely different words. Mer and pitam are entirely different words. Kil ga, to hang down, singular. Kil ka, and pu saik, to hang down, plural. He hung down something. They hung down something. So, as I said, most verbs don't have a singular and plural form, so that in that sense, Bahtssal verbs are quite simple. No matter what the subject is, the verb is the same. But there are some exceptions, and these are some of the exceptions where the singular and the plural are different. As we remember, most nouns don't have a singular and plural. Hayu means dog or dogs. Nouns that refer to people or family members generally have a singular or plural. Kawi, child. Kawik, children. Adjectives have a singular and a plural. The regular adjective in plural suffix is aya. Od is good singular and odiyaya, good plural. And, just as with verbs, there are irregular exceptions. Batin is big singular and tiya is big plural. In Bahtssal, adjectives always tell you if it's singular or plural. Nouns sometimes tell you if they're singular and plural. And verbs sometimes tell you if it's singular and plural. So the singular and plural verbs in Bahtssal are a complication in Bahtssal that you don't have in English, in a way that Bahtssal is different than English. Is it on? Okay. Today in Bahtssal, let's look at some of the sounds. Let's look at the vowel sounds. Here are the vowels in Bahtssal. We have 5 basic vowel qualities. So the vowel qualities in Bahtssal are a lot simpler than the vowel qualities in English. The vowel qualities in Bahtssal are like the vowels in Spanish. E, a, o, u, e, or a. We don't have the sounds that you have in English, like ah for bot or a for cat. So in that sense, the vowels in Bahtssal are simpler than the vowels in English. However, in Bahtssal, there is a contrast between short vowels and long vowels. This is something we don't have in English. So the difference between a short A and a long A is that the long A is twice as long in time. Ah, ah. O, o. E, e. Now sometimes The short vowels will have a reduced intensity as well, and will sound like I. Wi means me. Instead of ah. But generally, the main difference is the vowel length. That can make a difference in what the word means. Here, she means name. Here's a short I. She means gift with the long I. The difference between the short I and the long I makes a difference in the word. She. It's two different words. Here we have qawik, children, qawi, child. Let's look at ah. Short A is sometimes pronounced like ma, you singular, ma, you plural. Here again, the vowel length makes the difference in the word. Ma, Ka means house, ka, sitting. You can say meet ka, she is sitting. For O, goi means soar, goi, to grow. For you, kui is not, the verb root for not. Kui means another. And for E, the letter E, A, delay, forehead, delay, middle. So, even though we spell it with the same letters, one I and a double I, one A and a two A's, one O and two O's, the vowels in this column that are long vowels are actually different letters than the vowels in this column. It's as if you spell a word with a P in English and a B, pin and bin. It's different letters. Here, short I and long I are different letters and make the difference in the word, she and she. So this is a feature of Bahtssal that needs to be learned in order to learn the language. And it's a feature we don't have in English. However, short and long vowels are very common in the languages of the world. And they're very common in the languages of the Western Hemisphere. So in that sense, Bahtssal is like most other Native American languages in having short and long vowel distinction. Okay. I was itching my eyebrow. Okay, in Bahtssal today, let's look at some more of the sounds. Let's look at consonants. Consonants in Bahtssal, like the consonants in a good number of languages of the Western Hemisphere, quite complicated, a lot more complicated than English. So let's look at just some of the more unusual consonants and contrast between consonants that we'll get in Bahtssal that we won't get in English. Let's look at this series of consonants. All of these are made with the lips. In English, you basically have two sounds. You have B and P. But actually in English, you have three sounds because you have a B and you have a P as in pin, but you also have a P as in spin. If you notice that the P in spin is B and the P in pin is P. You get this contrast in Bahtssal as well. You get a P that's very much like the Spanish P. Bala, shovel. And you get a P that's like the English P. Pala, meaning the last one. Bala, pala. In Bahtssal, those are two separate sounds represented by two separate letters. in this case a P with a little line under it. And the B is in ba, meaning that, is a separate sound. So you have ba, ba, pa. In addition, you have this sound with a little apostrophe written over it. This is called glottalized because it involves the glottal area of your throat stopping for just a moment. Ba, pa la, pa la, pa la, pa la, pa la, means slug. So you see that the difference of that little stop in your throat makes a different letter, makes a different word. Pa la is the last one. Pa la, it means slug. So here we have 4 different sounds. Ba, pa, pa, ba. Let's look at these 2 consonants series. Now here is something, once again, that you have parallel to these. Here use a D, do, to, to, to. The same contrast you have here. In addition, you notice that this series of T is spelt with an H, and this isn't. This series of T's is pronounced very close to your front teeth. Da. Tool means game, a kind of a game. To is one of the ways of saying now. Show is another way. So you notice it isn't toe as in English, but it's toe. The little line, the H, is an orthographic way of representing a T that's somewhat like the TH in English, th, but it's not touching the teeth like that, th. It's back behind the teeth, ta. Tool, toe. Now here, this has a glottalized version as well. Ta, t'un, means ant. Now for contrast between the T that's made by your teeth, ta, and the T that's made like the English T, ta, we have t'un is ant, t'on is blowfly. Very similar words, except the T is different. This is the T that's made up by your teeth, t'un, and this is made in the position of the English T, t'on. So this series is like English. The T is made by touching the ridge that's behind your teeth, and this is made by touching at the very root of your teeth. Tu. Okay. Dole means 4. Gadul, thin. Toe, handle. And ton, blowfly. So this is very complicated series of consonant contrasts that you get in Bahtssal that you don't get in English. Let's go to the consonants that are made more towards the back of your mouth. What's written in the practical orthography as a G is really the equivalent of the P and the T with the line under it. It's like the Spanish sound with a C. Goy means sore. Now this sound is like the English K with a little puff of air after it. K. Coal is worm. Goy, coal, and ko is egg. Once again, with the little glottal stop after it. Ko. Coal, ko. Coal, ko. Now we get to a sound that we don't have in English. And this sound is like the K, but it's made much further back in your mouth. Whereas this is ko, this would be ko. Ko, ko. Ko, ko. Ko, ko. Ko, ko. Ki kal is to wipe, and the contrast with the glottalized version, ki kal, to mark. Now these sounds are quite often pronounced h and h. Instead of ka, it's ha. Instead of o, it's o. So very often these will be pronounced sort of like the French R, r. This would be ki hal, ki al, or ki al. But it's written this way to keep it so that you can keep the contrast, as long as we realize that for a good number of people this is pronounced like the letter h, only farther back in the mouth. H, ki hal, ki al. And the last in the series here is written with an apostrophe, and this is a glottal stop, like you get here, only with no other sound. It's the sound you get when you say uh-oh, ma-I, food, e, yes, or ba-o, to pray. Now we have j, ch, and ch. Mi, j, pounding basket, che, where, and che, mushroom. And another sound, z, zar, is clean, as opposed to ta, ta, woo, hoo, to go away, and the glottalized version, ta, as in ta, the verb root for to break. So here we have a very complicated series of consonants that are very unlike English, and yet very similar to consonant contrasts that you get in most of the languages of the Americas. Okay.